got here is the Miles Electric skateboard. I got the review model from them. Very much appreciated, guys. It's been very good to me. I've had a couple hiccups here and there, but I have been I've been riding this thing pretty hard recently, so this review is going to be awesome. So we're going to start with the design process, or the design. So we're going to start with the design of the board. I mean, every guy loves pink. Can't get that wrong. And then the overall, I love the carbon fiber finish. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's built pretty well. The internals, I have taken this lid off a couple times now to work on some remotes and everything. And I will say the lid to come off is very tedious, or I should say more of a hassle, because there is, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 screws in the board. Yeah, 10 screws on the top lid. And that's doing 10 screws. I mean, the board deck is not gonna come off, that's for sure. But as for the back and underside, I love how you can barely see any of the electronic components. They do have the hub motors right here, and I do love the 80mm wheels. It helps with going over bumps and everything. So overall, I'll give the board a pretty good solid 9 out of 10 on build design and coloring. They just released very many different types of grip tape too, so make sure you guys go check that out. But we're gonna move on to the biggest problem I've had, and that is the remote. So originally I got one remote with the board. This is a replacement remote. The first remote I had actually had the buttons flipped, which, I mean, that was probably a manufacturer issue, was a problem. But the overall build quality of the remote is pretty, it feels pretty cheap. It's pretty light, but I do like, the one thing I do like is the LCD screen. Man, has this thing like saved me. It shows me exactly how much battery life is left. It shows me how far I've gone, everything. It's just, it was an awesome design. I do wish that this was reverse the pull down button instead of having to click this button to switch it. But for the build quality and everything of the remote, I mean, you get a pretty awesome package in this remote with the remote. It shows off your top speed, everything. So I'm gonna give this a 8 out of 10 probably. The 2 points falling to the cheap quality build that I feel that they could have spent a little bit more on the plastic of it. But other than that, it's pretty well designed. I got my phone here for some notes, so don't worry. So we're going to talk about more of the design here real quick. The board length complete from end to end is a solid 26.5 inches. From the width of the widest part of the board, it's 7 3/8 inches. And from the tail end, which is the shortest end of the board, that is a solid 4 3/4 inches. That's the smallest thing. As for speed test, I personally, my own test, I hit on the high mode, going uphill, I hit a solid 18 miles per hour, and this is at a 30-degree incline, so it's pretty good. On flat, I only hit, I hit 22, and then on the downhill, I actually hit about 25-26 miles per hour. So it is kind of dangerous if you're not wearing a helmet. I always recommend wearing a helmet. As for max speed in slow mode, so there's 2 different modes that it is on the Switch. I hit uphill, I only hit about 8 miles per hour. Going on flat ground, I only hit about 10. And going downhill, I hit about 13. So that gives you a representation between the high and low mode. So I did do a stopping test. I have some video footage here, and this is all going at full speed. At full speed on slow mode, I only went about, it took me 12 feet exactly to stop. But when going in fast mode, this is a big one. It took me 21 feet to actually come to a full complete stop at full speed. And finally, I'll have to say is the charge time. The charge time that I had for this is, for the board, I had 2.5 hours of charging. And for the remote, it was about one hour, but I wasn't really paying attention to the remote, so I just put it as 1 hour. That's the basic specs of the board. I mean, everything is pretty spot on with what they label. And then the last thing I would like to add to this is the distance that I've gotten. So I live in a very cold environment right now because we've been getting some snow here and there. So when I first did my test, I only got about 6 miles, but I think that's because it was cold outside. But I did another test here the other day when it was like 50 degrees out, and I got 10 miles at top speed constantly. So I bet you that if you don't hold that throttle down, pace yourself and everything, you could probably get upwards to the 18-mile mark like they tell you. But other than that, that's just all the specs of the board. So to give you my final thoughts of this board, I would say overall I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, I'm going to say. Top speed, awesome, very light. Like, you came in, like, it's like compared to, I've had an actual longboard and this is a lot lighter. I use this to commute between trains and everything, and I mean, overall, this board has saved me from working or burying my feet, that's for sure. But I'll give, like I said, I'll give this a 9 out of 10. Miles, they did an amazing job. This is their first board, so I can't imagine what their second board will be like. I just hope that one day I could work with them. Well guys, that has been my review of the Miles electric skateboard. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like if you did, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.